Well, I did mention the I did mention the the zoo. Then another committee that I chaired, co-chaired with Dave Graven. Dave Graven is a very active Democrat, and so they had an active Republican and an active Democrat, and we got into the sales tax issue, and I think we did some good because I think that I think it helped get the sales tax into the arsenal of taxes in Minnesota, which makes it a more balanced tax structure than it is without it. And so I did have that enjoyable experience with the Citizens League too. And I've had experiences. I chaired the committee in Rotary for Polio Plus, and that's a very important thing. Rotary has had the lead in the eradication of polio worldwide. And because the Rotary does have contacts in a lot of countries where they have a better entree than the governmental thing's done, it's now down to the fact there are only 2 countries in the world that are not free of polio. And so that's been an interesting thing to have been involved with.
Want to say anything about U.S. Water and Culligan or Northrop King?
Well, I could only say this. Yes, that kind of be an interesting one. I tried that. We represented a company called Delmark, and that was acquired by the Swiss company, and the lawyers from New York representing Sandoz had one document after another, some affidavits confirming that a previous affidavit was right, and so we finally got to the final point, and that was they are to deliver a check. The check was made out wrong, and but our relationship there with Sandoz, when they decided to acquire Northrop King, they asked us to represent them on acquiring Northrop King. So the relationship there worked out fine. And on U.S. Water, this is kind of a reverse. One of the things I should have said is that one of the real key factors in terms of the National Car Dairy Queen chapter is that because they both involve franchising as a major core, that permitted this firm to be the franchising firm in the community. And but that'll come to an interesting point as far as U.S. Water is concerned, because basically a number of Culligan dealers got together to form U.S. Water, and that was under our guidance. And so all of a sudden we were kind of on the opposite side of the street, representing the franchisors in National and Dairy Queen, and now we're trying to come up with a program for the franchisees. And the program we came up with was, don't have an entity that you make contributions to who represents you. Have an entity that buys dealerships and has a profit point. And then you have a much better bargaining point. And so that was the strategy on that one.
That's great. Say just a little bit about Elmer Anderson and your relationship with the former governor.
Oh, well, an extremely close relationship with Elmer. And Elmer in his book says that one of his deep regrets is that he was not able to offer me a position on the Supreme Court. And in his letter to me that discussed that same subject, he said, "But I am not sure you'd have been able to accept it if I had offered it." And as a matter of fact, that was at a time when my commitments at Dairy Queen would have made it impossible for me to have said yes on that. But he was a wonderful person to have an opportunity to work with, and he and Eleanor are two of the really fine people that I've had the privilege of knowing. Of course, his success was fuller, and so he was a political person that had a successful business career, and he did an awful lot of good for the state of Minnesota.
You talked a little bit about foundations and having impact in the future, but you and Jane have donated significantly to the community already, and one of the areas where you've done a lot is at the University of Minnesota in terms of scholarships and other things. Talk a little bit about your reasons for donating money there.
Well, we've been the recipients of the benefits of the university, starting with ourselves as graduates, and I certainly attribute a great deal of where we are today for the training that we got at the university, and so that's been a very important part of that, not only in our generation, but in the subsequent generations, and and beyond that, the university is, in my judgment, the single most important economic charger that the state has, and and the success of the university ties in very closely with how our state's going to go. And we've got to have a successful university and one that is meaningful. So that's part of it. I will tell you one just kind of little quickie then is this, that we used to at Rio Verde, we used to provide the golf course to the Williams Scholarship Fund, and when Paul Giel was the athletic director, they always filled the place up, and they'd have great events. They'd go down to the ranch, and like one year they had Jesse Owens and his wife. Jesse was the speaker, but he always had something because Paul, with his near Heisman and his Major League Baseball careers, he knew an awful lot of people, and so it was great to work with Paul. And so after he left the university, which was a sad event, he was with the Heart Fund, and so one day he called and he said, "We've got this really major event that we're going to have, and we would really like to have Warren Buffett be the speaker." I said, "Paul, forget it. He does not do that sort of thing. There are things that he will do in speaking, but that's not one of them. And so you're wasting your time." And so he wrote Warren Buffett, and he said that he had talked to me and that's what I told him, but that this was very critical to the Heart Fund and he wanted to take another shot. And the answer he got was, "John is right, I don't do that sort of thing." But he said, "There is one point I want to make very clear. It has nothing to do with the way you played football against Nebraska."